Today, we're going to unpack a really beautiful story from an educator named Geeta Chawla. It's all about how a simple, everyday lunchbox ended up changing a young student's life. It's one of those stories that's a powerful reminder of just how much of an impact we can have if we just take a second to look a little closer. So let's get into it.
So, the whole thing starts with this one question. Picture it. A teacher is on busy, chaotic bus duty, and a teenager asks her, "Ma'am, do you remember me?" It's a question that just kind of hangs in the air, And the memory it sparks, well, that's the heart of our entire story today.
And, this quote from Leo Buscaglia just perfectly sets the stage for what we're about to explore. It's not about these huge, heroic gestures. It's about the small stuff, the often unseen acts of compassion that can create these incredible ripple effects. Keep that in mind as we meet a student who was a total puzzle to her teacher.
All right, so let's start with what the teacher called the mystery of Mariah. This student was a real head-scratcher, and it all boiled down to two very confusing problems. One was on a test paper, and the other was in the attendance book. This right here, this was Mariah's answer on a geography test. The correct answer was Chota Nagpur, but she wrote the name of a popular Indian dish. To the teacher, it was just this bizarre, nonsensical answer that kind of marked Mariah as an oddball. It was the first sign that something was a little different with her. And the second puzzle, it was hiding in plain sight in the attendance register. Month after month, it was the same exact pattern. Present for 2 days, absent for 1. Present 2 days, absent 1. The teacher called it a stitching pattern, this constant, unexplained string of absences. And whenever the teacher asked her about it, this was Mariah's only reply, always mumbled quietly. The teacher later admitted that at the time, she just dismissed it. It sounded like a lame excuse from a kid who just didn't want to come to school. Seemed simple enough. But the truth? Well, it was anything but. Which brings us to the unspoken truth. After noticing these patterns, the teacher decided she needed to dig a little deeper. And what she found was this quiet, heartbreaking reality hidden inside a lunchbox. This is really where the story starts to open up. So with just a little bit of gentle prodding, the real reason for her absences finally came tumbling out. It wasn't that she didn't want to come to school. It was that she couldn't face the lunch she brought every single day. Bread and jam. A simple meal had become a source of absolute dread for her. At the next parent-teacher meeting, the teacher was all ready to confront Mariah's father about the situation. But his quiet, honest explanation changed everything. He was a widower, doing his absolute best, and a simple sandwich was all he could manage to put together each morning. In that one moment, all that judgment just transformed into deep, profound empathy. Now, this is where things take a really incredible turn. The teacher, now fully understanding everything, decided to bring the problem to the rest of the class, and the solution came from the most unexpected place imaginable: her classmates. These kids, they were 9 years old. That's it. And to the teacher's total astonishment, they didn't hesitate for a single second. They immediately and enthusiastically volunteered to share their own lunches with Mariah every single day. They showed this level of compassion that was just, wow, truly astonishing. The effect was immediate, and it was profound. Everything changed for Mariah. Her attendance became perfect, her schoolwork got better, and most importantly, the smile that had been missing for so long finally came back to her face. All of it because of a shared meal. Okay, so let's fast forward. Years pass, and the teacher loses touch with Mariah. Then, one day, back on that same bus duty, a teenager approaches her, and the entire story comes full circle.
This timeline just puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? We see her whole journey, from that puzzling, quiet little girl in the 4th grade to the thriving child who felt the kindness of her friends, and then finally to the confident teenager who remembered that kindness all those years later and sought out her old teacher just for a hug. This is the teacher's big realization. That simple act transformed her perspective forever. She finally understood that a lunchbox isn't just about food. It's a symbol of love, of care, and sometimes it's a window into a child's unspoken struggles and joys. And this brings us right to the deep lesson packed inside this simple story, the power of small gestures. It's such a powerful reminder that the lessons that truly shape who we are, well, they're rarely found inside a textbook. And this just illustrates the core message so brilliantly.
We often think that changing the world requires these big, grand, heroic acts. But what this story shows us is that the real power, the real magic, lies in the small, quiet gestures. That simple act of sharing a meal had a far greater impact than any grand plan ever could have.
The key takeaway here, especially for anyone who works with kids, is to look beyond what's right on the surface. Children communicate in so many ways that go beyond just words. The real work of teaching, and really of just being human, is to notice those invisible struggles and to create space for small, powerful acts of kindness to happen.
And that brings us to our final thought. This whole story started because a teacher noticed a strange test answer and a pattern in a book, and it led to an act of compassion that literally changed a life. So what about you? What small gesture, what little moment of noticing could you bring into your life to create a bridge to someone else's unspoken world?